The narcissist's need for the constant companion. The narcissist in your life may have turned to you and said, "You are the one true constant in my life," or words to that effect. Of course, when this sentence was said to you, with known or unknown false sincerity shining in the eyes of the narcissist, it was wielded as another love bomb that rained down on you from up on high. What was actually happening was that the narcissist was engaging in a rare moment of truth. We require a constant in our lives for a variety of reasons. That constant is the prime aims, namely fuel, control, character trait, and residual benefits. Those aspects of the prime aims can only be provided by people, the people that are drawn into our fuel matrix. For the vast majority of narcissists, it is far more efficient to have the prime aims provided by one person, and therefore this gives rise to the intimate partner primary source. For most narcissists, the unconscious aim, since the majority of narcissists who seek the prime aims from one person will be unaware lesser or mid-range narcissists, is to secure that IPPS. The IPPS is to become the provider of those constant prime aims, and therefore it is the IPPS who is to become this constant companion. To begin with, it is because when we are seducing you, you provide us with all that delicious positive fuel, and we cannot get enough of it. You submit to our control under the onslaught of benign manipulations. We draw those character traits from you, and increasing residual benefits. You are shiny and sparkling, and all that fuel tastes so glorious. We want to be with you all of the time, and to drink deep of your fuel, whether consciously or unconscious, but also to ensure that you become bound to us as we love bomb you through the seduction. We want you constantly with us, so that you are exposed all the time to our charm, our wit, and our affection, so that, as we drink up your fuel, you become controlled as you yield to the euphoria you feel by being with someone as apparently wonderful as us. We also want you constantly by our side to isolate you from anyone who may just have the knowledge and temerity to shatter the fantasy world that we have created, so that you wriggle free from our grip. Also, expending time and energy in trapping you and clamping our jaws around you. The last thing we want is for you to be able to escape us. Inevitably, you let us down, and your supply of positive fuel lessens in quality and quantity. Your dereliction of duty means that we must draw fuel from other appliances. A normal and healthy person might think that if a person tires the other in the relationship, one might look at ways of rekindling what first drew those people together. Well, you know what? We do that, only we do it in our skewed manner. We have no interest in working at the relationship. That requires too much effort. We will, however, rekindle the golden period in order to enable our vacillating between devaluing and idealization to have the maximum effect upon you. You may also consider that if someone no longer has any interest in the other person in the relationship, and especially if that person is looking elsewhere, then he or she would do the decent thing and end the relationship and move on. Not us. You might question why that should be the case, since if we are treating you so badly, why on earth would we want to remain with you? If we are committing acts of infidelity with other people, why do we remain in a relationship with you? The answer is, because we need this constant appliance. You are that constant appliance. We have decided that you would cater to us with your delicious positive fuel, the character traits, the residual benefits, and of course that decision is conscious where dealing with a greater or ultra, or unconscious where dealing with a lesser or mid-range narcissist. Although you would let us down and reduce the provision of this fuel, we can keep you around as we shift to drawing negative fuel from you. You are the mainstay. There's no logic in us having a relationship, then ending it and moving on to another person sometime later. That wouldn't cater for the prime aims. Nowhere near enough. We need someone who will always be there, so that he or she, 1. provides positive fuel to begin with, 2. provides negative fuel thereafter during the sustained devaluation, 3. represents a good return on our investment. We are not going to throw away such an asset that readily. 4. as a constant, enables us to use others in our manipulation to draw more fuel from the constant and the other people, triangulation, smearing, and so forth. 5. One person providing all or most of the prime aims is far easier to control, and this is what is best suited to the majority of narcissists being lesser or mid-range. They don't have the skill set to have extensively large fuel matrices, and therefore it makes perfect sense for them to focus on the provision of everything from one person. 6. Provide us with character traits. And 7. Cater to the residual benefits. It is only when we have drained you of most of the fuel that you can supply us with that we shift to a new constant. When your character traits become jaded. When you are failing in the provision of the residual benefits, and or when you become too difficult to control, it is then that we disengage from you and install someone else. We seamlessly segue from one constant companion to the next. Usually, we have had them lined up for a while. Of course, we don't let you go. You still serve a purpose for fuel once you have replenished your levels after a period of time, and then it is time to hoover. In some instances, we switch back to you as our constant, and the most recent person then becomes the disengaged from individual. We will switch back and forth between the two of you for as long as you allow us to do this. This then saves us having to hunt out new appliances as we rotate your roles in your obligation to provide us with fuel, character traits, and residual benefits. This is why you are kept, despite the many fares that we have. You are the constant, and you may well be kept in that role for years, since much of it is dependent upon how much you will take before deciding to try and escape us. We also deploy you as a constant. Yes, I know you only deploy machines, and it should be employ, but you are an appliance, remember? Because we like to compartmentalize our lives. We appear as the business ace at work, the champion sportsman on the field, the caring husband and the doting father at home, the wild man on a night out, and the sexual Olympian with our mistress. We prefer to show the world that we have a steady wife who doesn't cause us trouble, one who runs the home and cares for the children. This bolsters the facade. It gains acceptability. It allows us to fit in. It appeals to the grandiosity of certain narcissists. See how successful we are? We can attract someone who wishes to remain with us and provide that visage of stability and domestic bliss. The rest of the world doesn't need to know about the chaos we unleash on you behind closed doors. Mentioning chaos identifies a further reason why we prefer you as our constant. Much of what we do generates chaos. The affairs, the gambling, the driving offences, the cheating and the lying. It's therefore a source of considerable control for us that we can return to you and find that you are waiting as usual. We have experienced so much upheaval and chaos in our formative years that caused us to be what we were, that this constant presence representing the constant of control provides us with the reassurance that is sought. Of course, we will abuse this by unleashing our chaotic nature on you as well, but this is done as part of keeping you under control, not to cause you to leave us, and that is of great importance. Not only does this show the world that somebody wants us by having this constant, it means that we have that constant appliance that remains and caters to the prime aims. For all the other variables that we introduce, the other women, the other men, the threatened departures, the bouts of silent treatment, the abuse, the narcissist always requires that constant companion. This is most applicable, of course, to the lesser and mid-range narcissist. The greater and the ultra do not need the intimate partner primary source as often, although it is preferred. But understand, the individual is just the manifestation of the prime aims. It is the constant companion of the prime aims that the narcissist needs The people just provide that. And because we see you as interchangeable, and, in truth, no real distinction between you, one IPPS is very much like the other, is like the other, is like the next. And therefore, so long as the prime aims are being catered for, it is that constant which matters. Of course, with the lesser and mid-range narcissists, the less able they are to assert control to gain the prime aims means that they are better off controlling it from mainly one person and a scattering around that. If you read the book Pipelines, it will tell you more about the constitution of the various fuel matrices of differing subschools of narcissist. The greater and the ultra don't have such a greater reliance upon one person. We have more extensive fuel matrices. Therefore, the reliance on the primary source is lower. We have more intimate partner secondary sources, many more non-intimate secondary sources that can be relied upon, and indeed tertiary sources. What matters is the provision of the prime aims, whether the prime aims comes mainly from one person or from 10,000. Dependent upon the ability of the narcissist to control those individuals, the number of people in the fuel matrix vary. What matters is the continuance and the necessity of the constant companion of the prime aims. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.